Good morning, it's Wednesday, so it's time for our Pastor's Corner devotional. Over this next while, we're going to start a new series of devotionals. And in that series, we're going to look at and examine this word, hope. My hope is that as we do so, we'll look at what hope means, how it can impact us, and the difference it can make in our lives. So today, if you have a Bible, I want to invite you to open it up or turn it on to 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 13. It says this, "And now these three remain, faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love." Faith, hope, and love are three defining characteristics of every person who follows Jesus. In fact, these three words are often put together in various passages in your New Testament. The greatest is love. I think it's also because we're called to love God and we're called to love others. And in fact, we're also called to receive God's love, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son. So love is always the greatest. Faith and hope, those two have a very interesting dynamic. Oftentimes in the scriptures, you can't really have hope without faith, and you can't really have faith without hope. They have a very interesting dynamic together. But for our purposes, we're going to look at hope and try to figure out and understand what hope means for us. Now, for many of us, we use the word hope, and we use it in this way. We say, "I hope it doesn't rain tomorrow." And by doing that, what we're doing is we're saying hope for us is wishful thinking. It's kind of having your fingers crossed and expecting and hoping for the best. Now, the difference with biblical hope is something that we want to examine. The idea of biblical hope is for us to have a confident expectation, a confident expectation. It's the idea of a guarantee. So it's not like us saying, "I hope it doesn't rain." It's, "I know it won't rain." But how can we have such hope? How can we have that kind of confident expectation? As a Christ follower, confident expectation in God or hope in God is the idea that God is who he says he is. And by virtue of that, God will do what he says he will do. Now, all through the Bible, it's about stories of God making promises and keeping those promises. It's about God being who he says he would be, a person of love, of mercy, of justice. And so for us, it challenges us to examine again, what are our understandings and expectations of God? Do we have the same ones that are lined up with really who he says he is and really what he says he would do? So confidence or hope in God is really about his character. And so the encouragement for you this week, or challenge for you this week, is to go about your week thinking and reflecting on the very fact of, where do you put your hope? Do you put your hope in things, or do we put our hope in God? May I encourage you this week at some point to pray this prayer: God, give me the ability to have a confident expectation in who you are and the promises you make. And let that be something that encourages you this week. So that's it for me this week on Pastor's Corner. We'll see you next time.